Well, what's up, everyone? Happy Saturday to you. I hope you are having a great Saturday and a great weekend so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. The space I love so much. Again, I want to welcome you to the show. You know the drill. Say hello where you're tuning in from. Give me a shout out so I can give you a shout out as well. But I want to thank all my viewers for, of course, tuning into the show. I enjoy it so much. Make sure that you connect with me on my social channels here. Definitely want to hear from you. Definitely want you to get engaged. Be a part of the Color of Motion family because it's growing. So I definitely want you to be a part of it for sure. We got a lot of great things planned for the show for sure. Mr. Slade, I appreciate. Wow, that's really huge. Mr. Slade, I appreciate you. We're still working on getting you on the show there, Slade. So I appreciate you tuning in there. What's up, Mr. Slade Diliberto? Future guests we're working on. So appreciate you tuning in for sure. Again, we broadcast live, of course, into Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well. Make sure that you get connected into the Facebook group community, facebook.com/groups/The Color of Motion. It's definitely growing, and I want to make it an engaging place for sure. We share industry news, have great conversations, and just all around fun. So definitely want you to be a part of it. Of course, like I said, you're always able to check out the show on in the Facebook group or on LinkedIn. But I do always like to encourage people to subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Don Terrell. Give a thumbs up to the episode, subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you're notified of when new episodes and great new content goes up. Plus, you're always able to check out all the other past great episodes as well. So definitely want you to be a part any one of those groups. Mr. Slade again. Yes, indeed, for sure, Mr. Slade. So appreciate you. Man, I've been looking forward to this episode for sure. Like I said, we got a lot of great new things planning for the show. Like, hopefully you've seen the ads have started running, but in a couple of weeks, we are going to be celebrating our 1 year anniversary of doing the show. Like I said, I cannot believe 1 year has flown by so quickly. We've had a lot of great guests, a lot of great fun, and looking forward to having fun for sure on the anniversary special. Got a very special guest planned. Not going to spoil it. May have some surprise people pop in. You never know. Going to have some fun giveaways. We're going to have a fun and party down for sure. Miss Elizabeth, I appreciate you, former guest that was on the show. Great guest that was on the show. So appreciate you tuning in for sure. But as I was saying, we are going to have a party for our 1 year anniversary. So make sure that you join us Sunday, November 7th. That's a Sunday. it's going to be a full weekend show Saturday and then the anniversary show Sunday. So it's going to be a full weekend. But Sunday, November 7th, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, of course, live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So keep an eye out for all the advertisements. Make sure that you clear your calendar clear your calendar and be there for sure, because we're gonna have some fun and I'm looking forward to it for sure. Okay, like I said, I've been looking forward to this episode for a good little while. Like I said, my next guest, he is such an hilarious guy. We had such fun when we connected, and we just, like I said, connect. I always love a person that has a great sense of humor, and he has a great sense of humor. So we just connected right off the bat. So I'm looking forward to this episode. And with that, we are going to dive right in. My next guest, he an engineer turned filmmaker. I've had a lot of guests that were like engineers, just came from just a totally 180 different place where they started. But he was an engineer turned filmmaker from Bangladesh and has been working in visual effects and animation production in Vancouver, Canada since 2013. He's had the pleasure of working on such titles as Batman vs. Superman, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, one of my favorites, along with working as a production manager. He also writes screenplays as well. He's currently working on an animated short film about climate change with the National Film Board of Canada as a writer and director. Along with that, he's working on another animated short film as a passion project. And we're going to take a look at some of his work in a little bit. But everybody, please help me welcome my very best special guest and friend, Mr. Wahid Reza.
Hello. How you doing?
Hey,
How are you
Wahid.
doing? Hi, everybody. That was a good introduction. Thank you so much. You're so kind.
No, man, like I told you before, I am just so excited to have you on. And, I knew when we first connected, you have such a fun sense of humor.
You have to be funny now, John. Like, the world is such a bleak place. Sense of humor is all we have. We don't have much. Sense of humor is all we have. We have to be funny.
Man, I tell you, it connects us. Having a good sense of humor makes it so much better when you can laugh with people. And like I said, I appreciate one, connecting with you, and two, being your friend, and then two, you just being a part of the Color of Motion family.
Right back at you. Right back at you.
Well, we're gonna
You're
die.
so kind. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
No,
you. Yeah.
you are just, like I said, I appreciate you being on the show. I really do.
I get the sense of humor from my mom. My mom, once she was really sick, and we were chatting on Skype, and she was like, "Oh, I have a new doctor. The doctor's name is Gandalf." I'm like, "Your doctor's name is Gandalf?" And she's like, "No, he has beard like Gandalf, so I called him Doctor Gandalf." So I'm like, "All right, okay." So that was my
Oh
mom.
man.
That's where I get it from. It's genetic.
Oh man, like I said, it's good that you can laugh and that your mother has a sense of humor. Which, like I said, we're gonna dive into like I said, a lot of questions. But does your father have a sense of humor as well, or
No.
is your father?
No. My father is zero. He's like the opposite of sense of humor. Like, no humor. No, like, my father is like this. My father is a very real person. So, like, you mentioned that I work on Batman versus Superman, and being a guy from Bangladesh, it's a huge thing, right? I grew up. My mom was super into comic books and sci-fi, so she introduced me to comics when I was like 3. I couldn't even read. So I knew who Captain America was before I understood the concept of America as a country.
Yeah.
So I used to run around in my nana's place wearing like a blue t-shirt and a red bucket cover. That was my shield. So I had a Batman costume when I was 4. Growing up in early 80s, not many people in Bangladesh had a Batman costume. So for me, it was huge. Batman versus Superman. I'm there. Like I worked on the very first teaser trailer that got leaked from Comic Con till the last scene. So I was like very proud of it. And I was in Bangladesh at that time, and they were screening it in a packed theater. I'm like, oh my god, my name is gonna pop up, and I'm like flying high in the sky. And I chatted with my father. I'm like, my name is gonna be there, and my father is like, who's gonna read that name? I'm like, that's a valid question. Nobody's gonna stick till the end to read that tiny little name, like one of the many thousands foot
Oh man.
soldiers. I'm like, all right, so I'm grounded, and that's my father for you.
Oh, that is priceless. That is
Yeah,
priceless. But see, nowadays though, they put these little teasers at the end, so most people do kind of stick around for the day because they
they
know
do.
there's going to be this little Easter egg, little
Yep,
scene
yep,
at the
yep,
end of it. So it's
yep.
funny, but that is the typical priceless response from a no nonsense dad.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man, oh man. But was that surprising to, I mean, was that a little different that it was your mother that was kind of feeding you this kind
Yeah,
of
I mean,
creative side as opposed to
yeah,
your
like
dad?
my mom was like, like my mom's favorite show was Star Trek. Like if she was alive, she would be delighted that Captain Kirk actually made it to space. She'd be like, "Oh my god, the Star Trek is real." She would go nuts. So I got to know of, like, like I knew X-Men before there was Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like and Beast was just a big guy in yellow spandex. There was no fur, on him or anyway. So
Oh
I
man.
knew I knew all these comics characters. I read, like, Jules Verne, Arthur C. Clarke, Isaac Asimov way earlier than I should have probably. So
Yeah.
I'm a huge, like, I became a nerd before being nerd was a
It
cool
was
thing.
cool.
Yeah, now like being a nerd is like, oh my god, because thanks to the Big Bang Theory and Community, all of a sudden being a nerd is a big deal. But back home, and I'm a big guy, so I would get bullied, and so comics and cartoons were my
Yeah.
zen. Like that's where I used to, like, that's where I used to refuge.
Yeah.
I used
Yeah.
to get, bond, and video games.
Yeah.
So we had a group of friends. We used to call ourselves a group of vagabonds because we were not good at anything. We were not good in sports. We were not good in study. The only thing we were good at was comics and cartoons and video games.
Oh
So
man.
bonded.
Well, I mean, is that industry kind of big in Bangladesh, or was it big, or was it kind
Not
of that
not
certain
really.
people, groups of people that really
Yeah,
liked it?
very, very niche. Especially comics and cartoons are very niche. Things are changing a lot. Like I used to be a part of a satire magazine. It's called Unmad. It's So I was the associate editor. It's actually it started before I was even born, and it was inspired from the Mad magazine.
Yeah.
And the editor of Mad magazine actually visited our office, back in the days. So so when I used to work there, I remember we only had two female cartoonists, like literally in the
Yeah.
whole country. Now there's like waves of female cartoonists
Yeah.
in the span of 10 years, and they're all so good. What has happened in like last 10, 15 years? The technology has become very easy.
Yeah.
Anybody can get access to any software or hardware they want.
Yeah.
Number two, what to learn from, like YouTube has been, like you can learn anything from
Yeah.
YouTube. There's
YouTube
tutorials,
University.
YouTube University. So people are learning. And number three, they can actually reference now. Like before, you didn't know what is happening in the world, right? Like it would take a bit time to
Yeah.
get that
Yeah.
information across.
Yeah.
You have to get the book, and you have to
Yeah.
read the book. Now you can just search it and like, oh,
Yeah.
that's what he's doing. I have to match that.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden the skill set has improved. So now people are doing a lot of animation back home, a lot of cartoons, and there are so many talented artists. Like I try to collaborate with them because I can't draw, like
Yeah.
I can't even draw stick figures. So I write. So I collaborate. I try to collaborate with artists back home, and they're all very professional and very good. So it has been a very welcoming change. Our TV scene is pretty good, pretty
Yeah.
decent for the market. Movie is not that great, but now the streaming, the local streaming
Yeah.
services are
Yeah.
coming in. We have Netflix there, Amazon is going there, so
Yeah.
things are looking up. Things are
Yeah.
looking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the internet. It's made the
Internet, yeah,
world such a smaller
small place.
place that
Exactly,
you can
exactly.
connect with anybody that you normally wouldn't.
I used to say that, like, even if you're in Bangladesh, you're reading the same Harry Potter book that
Yeah,
somebody in States is reading. You're watching the same Game of Thrones that somebody from Europe is watching. So there is no reason why the ideas that will come to your head would be any different from them, because your input is
yeah,
the same.
yeah,
Maybe because of your upbringing or where you're from, your perception of executing that idea would be different.
yeah,
And that is a different twist that you can bring it to the table, then people can enjoy, and it gives a different color
yeah.
to the story, to the characters, and makes it more real. So
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Miss, I'm gonna throw a few comments. Miss Elizabeth, we are so glad that you finally got a Saturday off for sure. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Elizabeth, been doing some good 3D stuff and learning Blender, which is again one of those
Yep.
softwares that you said it gives people access. It's such a
Yep.
powerful thing
Yep.
and it's
Yep.
free that everybody can get a hold of it now, and that's the beauty of the internet. There's so many companies out there that have free versions of their software that
Yeah.
can do just as powerful as stuff as they're using in the studios.
Hmm.
And I think if you have a creative idea, there's no reason nowadays for you
Yeah. To
not to
hold it,
get your work out there and
you
seen.
you can shoot a film with your iPhone.
Oh
You
man,
can, you can
yeah,
shoot a
they have a
very good
actually have
film.
a commercial out now for the new
Yeah.
iPhone where they're showing people shooting the film. So
Yep.
it's just
Yep.
insane,
Yeah.
insane.
There's no excuse anymore. It's like, oh, I'm very creative, but I don't have the technology. You have the technology in the palm
Hey,
of your hand,
hey,
and you
you
just get
you probably got a
well.
better camera than most people do.
Yes, yes. Oh my god. Oh
It's
my
just
god.
insane, insane. Boy,
Yeah.
we got a lot of engagement, Mr. Gabriel. I appreciate you tuning in, brother.
Mm.
One of the
And
ones
Gabriel
that
made a lovely shout about the live. So thank you, Gabriel.
yeah, thank you for the shout out. And actually, he was very, because we kind of talked about this before the episode about
Mhm.
how, organized my show is.
Oh my
He
god.
was the
Yes.
one that suggested the scheduler that I use for the
It's
show. So
brilliant.
big
It's
shout
brilliant.
out to Gabe
It
for that.
it's brilliant. I've done many live shows from home back home, because I'm like only one of the very few people in this part of the world working from Bangladesh. So I'm in a lot of different shows. So, but I've never seen anything so organized and structured. And I got a text notification, email notification, a second. I'm like, wow, this is pretty awesome. So yeah, it's pretty
Well,
cool.
we, like I said, try to make it as professional as possible.
Nice.
Mr. Raul, I appreciate you tuning in, brother, from Jamaica.
Oh,
My
nice.
brother from Jamaica, appreciate that. Blender is a good open source software. Like I said, I'm trying to learn Blender, and that's what Elizabeth is, like I said, learning and been showing some of her models as well. But that software is insane as well. The work that I've seen done with it, and it's free and open
Yeah.
source.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's like goes what to what we were saying. There's just too many products out there, too many channels for you to show your work on, and not to
Even
have your work out there.
even what I do as a living for, like, production manager, the software that we use, it used to be called as Shotgun. Now they changed the name to ShotGrid.
Yeah,
You can actually download a free version, which will give you like a month free, and
yeah,
you can learn the software, and that will help you to get into a production assistant role, production coordinator role,
yeah,
and it just helps you to to learn the pipeline, to learn the process and
yeah.
what we do. I remember I did that when I was looking for job, and they were really nice. The shotgun people, they actually emailed me back when the trial period expired. It's like, hey, are you going to buy this? And I'm like, well, I'm looking for a job and I wanted to learn. And they were like, you know what? Thank you so much for trying and learning, and we wish you get a job in a shotgun facility. I'm like, who does that? That's like a personal email. I was really thankful to them. So yeah, yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
that makes a loyal fan for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Makes a
yeah, yeah.
loyal fan. So was it for you? Was it a big shift? Like you said, you started out as an engineer,
Yeah.
and kind of going that traditional get a job route. Was it a
Yep.
big jump for you
It
moving
was.
from
It was.
engineer
So,
to
so I'm
what
the
you're
only
doing?
child of my parents, Don. So I had a conversation after graduation. I told my parents that I want to work as a writer. So you can imagine their thrill.
Yeah,
So
I can picture the look on your
yes,
dad's
you
face,
can.
like,
Yeah. So the first 6 months when people would ask that, what does your do son and what does your son do now? And they would be like, he just graduated. So what does he do now? He just graduated. Their jaws would clench. And then I got a big break to work for the biggest writer of our country, Humayun Ahmed. He's like our, J.K. Rowling. Like every
yeah.
household has a book. So I got to work on his TV production, and my face started popping up. And they're like, "Okay, that's what he's doing now. Please don't bother us. That's what he's doing now." So it was a big jump, and I started actually. I was really fortunate. I used to write like as a part-time job. That was my part-time job doing engineering school, and I used to actually do theater. So the shift back home was not that difficult, and very quickly I was the head writer of the biggest advertising agency.
Yeah.
I was writing for companies like BBC World Service Trust. So I became like I sort of like hit the ceiling, and I really wanted to work in Hollywood films. I really wanted to. So I started applying to schools, and I applied to all the schools, got rejected because I didn't know how to apply. And then I thought I knew how to apply. I applied again, got rejected again. Well, all right, cool. Then I applied the third time and got into some American schools. The tuition fees were like, oh, you have to sell a kidney to get into into that program. And in Canada, it was relatively cheaper, and this is a very stupid reason. So I found out that they shot the X File and MacGyver here in town, and those are like my childhood favorite TV
Yeah.
shows. And I'm like, I have to be in Vancouver. So I made a life altering decision of moving to Vancouver because two of my childhood favorite shows filmed here. Very stupid. Don't do that. So I so I moved in Vancouver, and when I was coming to Vancouver, like at that time, I had two TV shows back in Bangladesh. I was a minor celebrity. I'm like giving autographs and stuff. And from that moment on, here, nothing. And I'm doing a second bachelor degrees with these 19, 20-year-old. They're all like spunky, and I'm like in my late 20s, and I don't move as fast as I can. And it's like raining all the time. Nobody said it was going to rain all the time. Like I didn't go to Google the weather.
Oh
So
man.
it was a shock. It was a shock. And then I kid you not, so I had a first class in creative writing class, and I was very excited. And I walked up to the professor. I was like, "Hey, I really want to learn the process about getting an agent or a manager because I understand that's how you get a writing job in this part of the world." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, I can tell you about that. I thought you didn't understand my lecture." I'm like, no. I understand your lecture very well. Trust me. So and then a classmate of mine, and this is during the orientation. He's like, "Oh, you're from Bangladesh." I'm like, "Yeah." "You guys have TV?" I'm like, "Wait, what do you mean? Like in my bedroom?" "Yeah, I have TV in my bedroom." He's like, "No, like TV in the whole country." I'm like, "Wait, are you nuts? What do you mean by TV in the whole country?" "Yes, we have TV in the whole country."
Oh man.
So
I
the
tell you.
perception, so the perception you have to break to, I have an accent, I look different, I understand, but the perception is anybody looks at me like, "Oh, okay, this guy doesn't know a thing," and like, I'm like, no, I know a thing or two.
Oh
So
my gosh.
that was a bit shocked, but then I started doing well done. I'm a very passionate guy and a very hardworking guy. So I worked really hard. I got into a really cool NBC Universal Diversity Fellowship program.
Yeah.
They selected like only 6 students in across the Canada, and I was one of them. And I got to work on Suits. Got an autograph from Meghan Markle.
Oh
I should have
wow.
taken a photo. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that she was going to be the Duchess. I didn't take a
Oh.
photo. I took a photo with Patrick J. Adams, which was a fantastic experience for me. And the film that I was making, like as a director or as a producer, they were going into festivals, and I realized that I was good at producing because I was good at asking people for free stuff. Like,
Mm.
hey, can we use your coffee shop for free? I'll take half an hour. It'll never take half an hour. It will take 4 hours minimum.
Oh
But
man.
it's the ability to convince people, and that's a vital thing for the student film because we don't have money.
Yeah.
So I was doing well. I got into dean's list in the school. My results were good, and I took like master's level creative writing classes, and I got like 90% in all of them. And I became really good friends with my professors as well, and they saw the passion. But what happened was after my graduation, I was not getting any job interview. Like I sent out, I still have the folder, 84 application, not a single interview call. And I'm like, why is this happening to me? So then a friend of mine, his name is Nicholas, he's from Colombia, and he's like, well, are you putting in your Bangladeshi experience? I'm like, yes, I am. I have a ton of experience from back home. And they're like, he's like, yeah, they think that they have to sponsor you. You have to mention that they don't have to sponsor you. You have the work permit. It's
Yeah.
legal to work.
Word.
I'm like, okay. First place I submitted my resume without Bangladeshi experience. Fresh graduate from University of British Columbia. Canadian experience only. I got an interview.
Wow.
First, it was the Burdell studio. I really liked their work, and it was for an unpaid internship. So I walked into the interview and I chatted. I told them about my engineering school and blah blah blah. And they're like, "Oh, you should have put it down on your cover letter or resume." I'm like, "Well, then you wouldn't have been asking me for an interview. Think that I'm not eligible to work." Then they're like, "Yeah, probably." And they kept asking me if I pay taxes. I'm like, "It's an unpaid position. Why are you asking me for taxes?" But yes, I do pay taxes. You have to pay taxes. And then I had the interview at 11. At 2 p.m., they give me a call that I have a job as a production
Oh
assistant.
wow.
I'm like, yes, this is it. So I went in. It was a really so I was supposed to be the office assistant. So filling the photocopier,
Yeah.
cleaning up the garbage, cleaning up the kitchen and making coffee.
Is that what
So
a
my manager,
protection assistant does?
I mean, it was like an office assistant. So
Office assistant. Okay.
so my manager was like, well, it will take you half a day to do all that. I did them everything in 1 hour. And she's like, you have nothing else to do. I'm like, no, give me more stuff. So then it's like, well, they're not gonna let me just sit there and get paid.
Yeah.
So then
No.
yeah, so they gave me an assignment to basically format the background of a 2D show, and it was called Mother Up, and they showed me how to do it. And they're like, it'll probably take you can probably make 10 per hour. I started doing like 25 to 30, and they were
Wow.
like, oh, this guy is good. We can actually use him. So then they keep giving me more and more production stuff, and I got to work on Rick and Morty season 1 as a
Oh
production
wow.
assistant.
Yeah.
That like, I mean, was such a wonderful experience. So. And I ended up doing like sending materials to outsource, downloading materials from outsource. I was managing doing payroll for the freelancers, managing the stuff
Oh
that was
wow.
going to the freelancers. So I ended up taking on a lot of coordination role, even though I was a PA.
Yeah.
I was still cleaning up the kitchen. I was still doing all that stuff. There was this one guy who used to cook fish in the office, Don. Why would you cook fish in the office? It stinks up the whole place. And oh my god, but he was a good artist, so you can't really,
Oh man.
you win
Oh
some, you
man.
lose some.
Well, do you, and we're going to take a look at some of your work in a minute, but do you
Yeah.
feel like that's your production, like a manager, producer is kind of your lane now?
I mean,
Or,
it's something that I'm good at. It's something that pays the bill. But if you are telling me that what I want to do as an end goal, my dream is to be a writer,
right
Don.
there.
That my dream is to be a writer. If I could write and just don't worry about anything else, that would be it. I'm inchingly going there. I recently finished my first writing job. I wrote 3 episodes for a preschool show called Momolu and Friends. It's done by Yellow Animation and Furlico. It's about a panda who loves arts and craft, and it's based on a Finnish artist design, and
Yeah.
it's co-produced by Finland, Belgium, UK, and Canada. So it's like a big production. they brought me in to write one episode, and I keep submitting ideas, and I keep
They said
submitting
this
ideas.
guy is just getting too overdriven. We just got to
Exactly.
keep him around.
And yeah, the story editor was like, "You don't know how to give up, do you?" I'm like, "Well, I do give up every day. I just start back again the next day." That's how I roll. So, and I ended up writing three
Oh
episodes,
man!
which
And for
was
those of you who are listening, that was a big bomb that he dropped. Don't give up.
don't give
Always
up.
be persistent about what you're doing. People will notice you for sure.
Very
So
politely persistent.
yes,
You don't want
be
to be annoying.
yeah, you don't
Very
want to be
politely.
annoying, but just be likably persistent. And like I said, we're going to let's take a quick look at some of your work because you also, like I said, you not only do animation, you do some live action writing as
Yep.
well. So we're going to dive into that. But let's quickly take a look at some of his work right now.
I dig a hole, it turned out to be black. I went really deep, and I don't think I can go back. I dig a hole, it turned out to be black. I went really deep, and I don't think I can come back. For years to come and years to leave, my memories in your sleep sneak up on you to wake you up, to give illusion and deceit. I dig a hole, I dig a hole, I dig. I dig a hole, I dig a hole, I dig. If you can't find me, please don't remind me. For all I don't wanna know where it all started, when it all ends, and where we all must go. Oh, I dig a hole, I dig a hole, I dig. I dig a hole, I dig a hole, I dig. I dig a hole, it turned out to be black. I went really deep, and I don't think I can come back. I don't think I can come back.
Such amazing work, and like I said, not only animation but live action as well.
A
Like I
fun
said,
fact about
is there one you enjoy more than the other, or is it animation, live action, or is it?
I love animation. Animation speaks to my heart, and I feel like you can do so many things in animation. You can just imagine. It becomes really colorful, and it becomes life becomes easier when it's animated. I don't know why, but to be honest, it depends on the story. So the some stories will come into my head, and it deserves the live action. Some stories will come in my head, it deserves an animation. So
Mm.
but I would say like 45, 55, 55 to animation, 45 to live action. A fun facts about that song that I have on that clip.
Yeah, beautiful song.
I wrote the lyric for that
Oh,
song.
really?
Yeah,
See,
yeah, I wrote
multi-talented is
multi-talented.
no wonder they're not getting rid of you. You just do everything. So it's
It was sung by music and composed by a friend of mine back home in Bangladesh. His name is Sunny. Yeah, I wrote this poem. I posted on Facebook, and he tuned it like the next day,
oh
and
wow.
yeah,
Wow,
that's how it
wow,
started.
wow.
Yeah.
We're gonna throw a few comments up here. Mr. Raul, of course, great vibration, brother. Like I said, appreciate you enjoying the show for sure. I know Gabe threw in a question here. Yes, Gabe, I am using Ecamm for live streaming the show, and definitely love it, love it, love it. For sure, Miss Elizabeth seems to be enjoying the show. I told you, Lizzie, he's hilarious. So he ought to be a stand-up comedian as well because he's funny as hell.
I know. If I
So
could only stand up for a long time, that's the only reason that is holding me back. If it was a couch comedy, like a giant couch, and I get to sit on a couch and come,
well, hey, that could be
I'll be
part of your
gold.
show, but just have a
That could be
couch.
part of my show. Every day, I'm like dragging the couch in the middle of the night from one comedy bar to another. Yes,
Oh
that's
man, Miss. Well, I'm not sure if this is a she or he. Charmin Art and Craft. Hey, from
Charmin would be a she. Yeah,
Bangladesh.
yeah.
I am officially international.
International.
I appreciate you tuning in for sure and making it a
Thank you,
great
Charmin.
episode. So I love it. I love it. Like I said, you've obviously have had the opportunity to work on some big projects: Batman versus Superman, Guardians of the Galaxy, which is the Volume 2, which is my favorite one. I
It
love
was such a
Volume
cool
2.
experience. Yeah, yeah.
But what has been, I mean, what have you pulled from those projects that's really kind of served you? What have
I
you learned from working on those kind of projects?
I think working on big projects like this, you get to see how creatively driven it can be and how far they are willing to push. Like it's always bigger, it's always better, it's always like when you were working on your own stuff. Sometimes you're like, oh, maybe it's good enough.
Yeah.
But when you're working on big projects like this, you realize that it's probably never good enough. You just have to be added, and that's
Yeah.
how it actually goes to the next level. That's how it reaches to that much people, and that's something I'll take it to all the projects that I'll do for the rest of my life. And I think visual effects can be a really interesting field if you're interested in film, and if you are passionate about creating wonderful images.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, the artist or the perception is that the parents are like, oh, if you're an artist, you probably don't have money, and you don't shower often, and
Yeah, that's
that's
starving. Which I think is where, which I think is where one your father's look came from, and
exactly.
then two, they
I like
always
it.
tell you to have a sideline, something in the bag,
A
because they
backup
just
plan, yes.
backup plan.
But to be honest, you can actually make a lot of money working as in this field,
Obviously.
and now that we're working from home, showering might be an optional thing right now. But you
He said,
get to
I don't have to worry about smelling. Boy, you kind of smell kind of ripe there, Wahid.
exactly. But you get to work on so many amazing stuff, and you get to see the reaction from people.
Yeah.
That is priceless.
Priceless.
It's like I remember the last time I was in Bangladesh, I get to meet my fan, and she's a 9-year-old. Her name is Mariam, and she interviewed me, and she was like hard, like very like Barbara Walters journalistic interview, So she was like asking me, "Why did you do that? Why did you do that?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I worked on something that impacted this 9-year-old's mind that much.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And that I'll take, and I do enjoy it. I do. If I stay in visual effects, and if that becomes part of my career, I do see myself being like a bidding producer.
Yeah.
That's the role that I really want. That's the position where you get to read the script, you assess the work, and you bid it out, and then you sort of like budget it out, and you submit, and you get the job, and you hand it to the team, and the team does the regular production. So that's something that I really want. It gets me, read the script, which I love reading the script,
Yeah.
and it gets you to visualize the work and what is done. And I want to create my own show. I wanna write. Crossing my fingers. It's tough. It's tough. It's like usually the people gets hired who are the people who has a writing credit already.
Yeah.
But you can only get a writing credit if you get hired the first time.
Yeah, that's that chicken and the egg kind of
Chicken and the egg
It's like, which
situation.
comes first? You know,
Which
I'm
comes
trying to
first?
get the experience, but I
Yeah.
need a job to get the experience type of
Yeah.
thing.
Right now, what I'm doing, I'm politely knocking everybody on LinkedIn, like every
Yeah, yeah.
monthly knocking that, hey, if you need somebody to write something, I'm good at coming up with ideas, John. You can wake me up in the middle of the night and you're like, hey, I need 5 ideas, feature film, this genre. I'll be able to provide 5 ideas. That's my thing. My
Speaking of
grammar
which,
is not that good.
but speaking of
I mean,
which, is there a genre that you kind of
mm,
like more than the other? Because from
sci-fi.
your reel,
Yeah.
it seemed really, some of the live action seemed kind of dramatic.
It was really dramatic. It was actually my thesis film, and I really wanted to tell a personal story. Like I had this fear that, which actually came true, sadly, that when I would come here, my mom would pass
Yeah,
away.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
not. So I made that based out of that fear. But I do like the thing that I don't like, or I don't think I can do, is like gory horror.
Oh, gory
I'm, I'm,
horror.
I'm not into gory horror thing. Other than that, I'm passionate about sci-fi.
Yeah,
Like every random story I have, there's a flying saucer coming in
yeah,
because
yeah,
it just,
yeah,
just makes it really colorful. Comedy is my jam, as you can
yeah,
tell,
yeah, yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Comedy. So yeah, sci-fi comedy would be my niche. Yeah,
Well, in like I said, I don't guess you have aspirations to be an actor, but you do
yeah.
have kind of a personal presence about you, a humorable presence about you. For you, was it difficult directing that and acting in it at the
It was
same time?
it was challenging. So what I did basically, I read about like the director writers, like from Ben Affleck to
Yeah,
like everybody who has done that. I
yeah,
read about their experience, how they would, like I remember reading an interview about Ben Affleck directing Argo, and how he would done coverage for everybody else, and then he would come to his coverage and do it very methodically. So I did that. I did that, and I was not compromising in any way. The shot that you see where I fell down,
yeah,
I took that take 20 times, and each time I had to fall in a certain way. So the next day I couldn't move my left leg because I kept falling on my left leg. So the next day we had shoot, but thankfully all the shoots were like I'm sitting down, so nothing. We didn't have to push or anything. But I do enjoy acting. I have a very, because of how I look or my
yeah.
physique and all, I have a very limited capacity. I understand that, so that's why I get to write my own
Yeah, yeah,
characters, I
yeah.
guess. But it was challenging. It was challenging. Like I remember like the scene where I cried down, and I said cut, and I came back and I want to see it. So my DOP and my good friend Michael, he was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay. Let's do this." I saw it. I'm like, "No, I like this. I have to tweak this," and I go back and I did it again. Because I think one of the good things is that when you're working on a project, you have to look at it in objectively.
Yeah,
Once you look at things objectively, you can actually go in and fix the thing that you want to fix and make it the best version of it.
yeah,
Nothing you can do can please everybody. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to make a film that everybody's going to like.
yeah,
No, it's
yeah,
not going to
yeah,
happen. So what you can do is, the best version that you can do with the time, with the budget and everything. And then hopefully some people will like it, and hopefully it will get traction. It will motivate you to do more work. So that's how I operate. It's very tough to. I've had mixed reaction. Like I worked on Extraction, and people got really mad because they got some parts wrong, and they got so mad at me. And I'm like, I just did the subtitles. I have a very little power in the whole spectrum of the thing. You have to understand that people get really passionate about, and sometimes you have to let people yell at you.
yeah,
Just okay,
yeah,
just throw it out. It's online, it's Twitter, it's
yeah,
Facebook. People
yeah.
will get mad. Ugh.
And like you
It doesn't
said, you're
move
not
on.
you're not gonna please everybody. There's gonna be
No.
somebody from it. I'm curious. Um, and we're going to dive a little more into the stories that you're wanting to tell from Bangladesh perspective. But where did the inspiration for the Surviving Seven come
Oh yeah.
from?
So
The
Surviving
animation,
71.
and when I say Surviving Seven, those were some of the animated clips that you saw. It is
Yeah. So
real.
Surviving 71 is actually is based on the 1971 war of Bangladesh. So that's the war that's our liberation war that made us a free country. We separated from Pakistan and became our own country. So this is a war where 3 million people died and 10 million people took refuge in India. One of the worst case of genocides in the history of mankind, one of the worst case of refugee crisis
Yeah,
in the history of mankind. Yet, not many people, especially in the Western world, knows
yeah,
about this
no,
war. It's the untold story of an unknown war. So my father was actually one of the freedom fighters, and if you see on the train track, some of the guys in the back tied, like
yeah.
eyes tied, hand tied. My father was one of them.
Oh wow,
And when his turn came, he was a really good swimmer, so he heard that streaming going on, so he realized that he's on top of like a river, so he jumped out of a moving train blindfolded, hand tied, and
wow.
survived. So when he told me that story, and I'm like, oh my god, this is such a cinematic story.
Yeah,
And so this is a guy, like, my father was not an army person, he was a student at that time. So this is a normal general student, and there are like thousands of like him who fought these armies. Like, we literally fought armies with tanks and machine guns with like whatever we had.
yeah,
Like, literally that happened. So I wanted to tell that story. I wanted to show that there was a lot of abuse happened to women. It was I think it was one of the first incidents where torturing women became part of the war strategy.
wow.
So over 400,000 women got tortured. So I'll show a hint of that in my short film, and I'll show a hint of the atrocities that happen to the minorities. So we have, back in Bangladesh, we have Muslim majority, and Hindu is the minority,
Yeah,
Hindu religion, and there was a lot of attacks on the Hindus from and sadly that attack sometimes still happens, which is really sad because the
yeah,
world is going in a really effed up place. But I'm not going
yeah,
to go there. So I'll show that to my film, and my purpose of making Surviving 71 is that to incite like curiosity in people, and they will watch it and like, oh, this happened, let's learn about it,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
hope a conversation will start globally. And then maybe I can take it to make it a feature or like a mini series. I have those plans in mind.
yeah,
But at this moment, what I'm doing is I'm trying to collect fund, make the 15-minute short, take into the festival. Hopefully it will do well in festivals, and then I'll take
yeah,
it to
yeah,
different
yeah,
places. And I think it's a story about like how the underdog, the ultimate underdogs, can actually overcome and fight the big war, and the resilience of normal people, the
yeah,
common people, and how they can survive. And I think it's really important.
yeah,
It's very important, and it's universal. It's the same thing happening across. If you just remove the geographical location, the strive of surviving of the
yeah.
common people, it's common. So that's what I'm trying to tell. That's what I'm trying
Yeah,
to tell.
amazing. And like you said, it's something we would have never
Wow.
even, I know I never heard of it
Yeah.
before. So I mean, I think that's the beauty of one, animation, and two, this time where you're seeing so many different content creators bringing
Absolutely.
their own unique stories out there to really expose people to
Hmm.
other elements that are going on in other stories.
Hmm.
And like you said, when you heard that from your father, it's just wow, that's just such
Yeah.
an amazing story that you never, one, that probably never knew about your father until he told you,
Yeah.
and then two, something so educational that you could share with other people. Do you see more? Obviously, Bangladesh has a rich culture, and there are
Hmm.
so many stories that and like you were saying, so emerging women, cartoonists coming from the country. Do you see more stories coming to the forefront now that this time is really ripe for it?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, back home, a lot of investments are happening, and a lot of animation project, live action projects that are coming to life. Few international projects are happening based on the life of our father of nation,
Yeah.
Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And he was such an charismatic character. Like, if you Google his speech on the 7th March, he gave this speech. The If you just read the English text, like the translation, you would have goosebumps. It's like, oh my god! Like, I actually have a part of that script speech in my script in my Surviving 71 film as well. So there are few international films that are happening based on his life. And I think geographic what has happened again over the last few years, Bangladesh as a country, we are now financially getting to a position where we can make call.
Mm.
We are, even though we're a densely populated country, we are somehow we don't have deficiency in food anymore. Our land is so fertile, we
Yeah.
can grow crops throughout the year, so we're not dependent on food on any other countries
Gotcha.
anymore. So we
Gotcha.
actually export stuff. We
So,
export lentils to Canada, and I'm like,
yeah.
yay, we're exporting lentils to Canada, man. So what has happened overall? The economy has improved. Like, when the whole recession happened recently, our country was one of the few countries that there was no recession because everybody's working. And there are few things that the government has done over the years. We have free education for women. This has been going on since 1990s.
Yeah.
So all these women are now graduating from high school for free, and they're going into the workforce. And that's like a 50% of the workforce, and they're all contributing to the economy, and that has been a significant change. And so now we are finally we are no longer a young country. We are now sort of like a,
Yeah.
not
Emerging.
a kid anymore. We're like
Yeah.
getting
Growing up.
maturity, growing up, and we're more confident to tell our own stuff. So that's what
Yeah.
we're doing. A lot of very talented. We recently had a film that was screened at Cannes. We now have three films that are getting screened at the Busan International Festival in
Yeah.
South Korea. So we have people working back home that they're doing amazing stuff. So only good things will come up.
Yeah.
Hopefully, only good
Yeah.
things will come
Yeah.
up.
And like I said, I think that's such the plus of this time is that we are connecting and seeing with the internet. We are connecting and seeing so many other creative talent and
Yep.
stories that, like I said, we just never would have thought of or
No.
known about before.
Yep.
And we're going to throw up a few more of these comments here.
Yep.
Mr. 162 Rafid Rahim. I'm going to let you read that, Wahid.
Oh yeah, Wahid Ibn Reza, sir. Sir, oh my God, it's a great inspiration for us. Hopefully, Bangladesh will make great content in the future with all the rising talents. I hope for
Now, I know
for it
so,
too.
like I said, because that's the thing. There's always been talent there. It was just never, thought of or never seen before. Every
Mhm.
place has talent. It's
Yep.
just now it has the opportunity to really come to the
I would like
top.
to say that one good thing that has happened out of COVID is that we realized everybody's in this one planet.
Yeah.
Everybody's in the same play field. Whether you are the president of the United States or a slum kid from
Yeah.
India, you're all in the same planet. So, and it's important, because of the rising climate crisis. We can only face it. We can only face it if we can all work together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a fantastic film out of Bangladesh called Tomorrow. It's an animated film. They did an amazing job, and now it's going to all the festivals around the globe, and it deals with a climate crisis. And so I, I think what we have to realize is that, and I know that racism is still there, and classism is still there, but if you just push it down for like 1 second and just think about the like 90% of the world, we are in it together, and it's up to us to
Yeah.
make it a better place.
Yeah.
Like, I recently became a dad. My daughter is 13-month old, so
Wow.
every time I look, yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you,
Congratulations. You're
thank
in
you.
for
So
a
every
lot
time,
of fun.
yeah, oh my God, she's a blast. But every time I look at her, I'm like, oh my God, I have to do a lot of better things. Like I cannot slack down. Like before it was like, yeah, I'm just slacking down. I don't have
Now
to
it's
do
not just
anything.
you anymore. It's not
No,
just you.
no, no, no.
But
So
you
yeah.
know, to your point is, I mean, really, I mean, of course, you know, I appreciate, which everybody should appreciate, all the different cultures and people out there, but we all ultimately are one human race. We're all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
people, all love and laugh.
I don't
So
I don't get racism. I don't get racism done. It's like you know
who
like
does?
oh
But
I hate all the Muslims. Have you tried their kebabs? They're really good. How can you like kebabs and hate all Muslims? It's just not possible. Is it? Is it?
he said,
How is that
"Yeah,
even a thing?
I hate blacks, but I
Yeah,
really
I
don't
hate.
like chicken."
Yeah, I hate black people. Have you seen Rihanna? How can you look at Rihanna and say that, oh no, I hate black people? It's not possible. Or Michael B. Jordan. The
Oh
man is
man,
really
it
good
is
looking.
not.
You cannot,
Yeah,
you cannot
it's
just say that.
not
No,
possible. Oh
yeah,
man. So, what
yeah.
is your? I mean, you know, your approach. What is your approach to filmmaking and storytelling when you sit down to
Mhm,
think about an idea,
mhm.
and whether it be animated, whether it be live action? What's your kind of approach to it?
The first thing that I do is I write it down on my notepad on my phone. So I'll write it down, and if the idea comes with like, oh, this will be like a series or like this will be a book or this can be like a movie, I'll write that down as well. And then I don't look at it. I don't look at it for like a week or so, and then I come back in like 2 weeks. If that idea is still resonating in my head, it's still like subconscious level, it will evolve into something. If it doesn't evolve, which means that I'm not connected to it and it will
Yeah.
just I can just scrap it for the time being. But when it evolves, then you realize that, oh, it has a potential. Then what I do, the first thing I write a one page, which is like a summary and like a log line and like the few key characters. And then I start to evolve it, like
Yeah.
like a
Flesh it
bible,
out.
add characters, and then at the end of that process, I start to collaborate with an artist to get some visual going, because it always helps, and to get some art going. So that's how I operate. So I
Yeah.
have like on my phone, I'll just Google that movie ideas, and there's a bunch of entries that comes up, and then I go from there.
Oh man. Obviously, like I said, you're very creative. You got a lot of ideas, and a lot of things coming, you know, to fruition. Um, what you know, and we've kind of talked a little bit about it, but what do you think's been the biggest misconception about Bangladesh and your culture and the stories that you're wanting to tell from this perspective? I mean, you live in Vancouver,
Hmm.
and in Canada, and you've been over in the West. What do you
Yeah.
think the biggest misconception, you know,
The, big,
that we
the
think?
biggest
I mean, there's a
biggest
lot. Obviously, there's a lot of them, but you know,
biggest misconception, I would say that the whole country is underwater and everything is poor. That's the biggest misconception.
outside of not
Oh,
having television.
yeah. Oh, flood all the time. Well, no, it's not flooding all the time. In certain, monsoon season, it floods in New York. It's a
Hey,
natural
we
calamity.
it floods here in Houston. It doesn't take much to flood Houston for
Ex-
sure.
Exactly. So that's, I think, the biggest misconception. It's like, oh, everybody's poor and everything is underwater. No, it's not.
Oh
It is
man.
not. And I think what I hope this will change. This hasn't changed a bit as much as I wanted to. Is like the ability to tell a global story. And
Yeah.
I so honestly believe it. If you look at a film like Parasite, it's a South Korean film about classism. Anybody can relate to it.
Yeah.
Anybody can relate
Yeah.
to it, and that's the power of a good story. And it
Yeah.
can come from Bangladesh, it can come from India, it can come from South Africa,
Yeah.
it can come from Nigeria. At the end of the day, what is the story trying to tell, and if it is affecting you, that is the most important thing. So I think at the executive level now, there's a huge drive for diverse content and diversity, which is good. But what I would like to see more and more is that giving like hearing people out,
Yeah.
not just shutting them off just because they're from a different country or they speak slightly different
Yeah.
English with a slightly different accent, or looks different. Just hear them out, listen to the story, be open about it.
Yeah.
If you're working in the entertainment, this is one of the field where you kind of have to be open about it. Your content is being accepted by the people of the world,
Yeah.
not just one country anymore. So when you're trying to reach to a kid in Eastern Europe or trying to reach a kid in Dhaka, Bangladesh, you should also give them the respect because they're your audience as well. So
Yeah.
you should give them the respect of hearing them out, and maybe you'll find the next Squid Games. You
Yeah.
don't know. That's
Yeah.
how it works,
Yeah.
right? So I think things are changing. Thing works in a very different way in Hollywood. Like now everybody's looking for this one thing, Squid Games.
Yeah.
Like before that,
Yeah.
it was
It's
everybody looking
always
for Game of
that
Thrones.
big, yeah, it's always that one big
Yeah,
things or
I don't
something
think
big.
I don't think that should be the way. I think it
Yeah.
should be like, okay, let's hear this out of, yes, you'll have like 1,000 things to go through, but maybe you'll find the gem.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll find that unique story to tell, and that will that will be the next big thing, and that will touch a lot of people. And of course, I understand the commercial aspect of the thing. Like it will make you money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it will make you money.
Well, I
Like
think
if you,
that's what most studios now are afraid of or cautious of, because they don't think
you
movies
can make
here,
money.
or they don't think certain movies here will have
Yeah,
international appeal. And I
yeah.
think like movies like Black Panther and all of that, when they went international, got them, wow, okay.
Oh my God.
And like you were saying, it's it's the story. It's a general appeal. It doesn't matter whether it's an all black cast or all
No,
Bangladesh cast or
no.
all Latino cast. It's the story and how
It's the
we can
story.
relate to it and
Yeah,
whether or not it touches us in a certain way. But I
yeah,
think that's the thing that most studios start to think, well, internationally, how will this film do? Will
yeah.
people receive this film outside of this country? And they don't give people enough credit to want
Exactly.
to, or directors or stories enough
Mhm.
credit to even try and see if they'll have that appeal.
I hope very soon they will have the data. Like they're all data driven. Very soon they will have the data that that will give them the confidence, and they'll push them to create the contents like film like Spider Verse.
Yeah,
No matter where you're from, if you watch
from
Spider Verse, you have to love it. It's just that
it's
beautiful.
just that
It's just that
good.
beautiful of
Yeah,
a film. It's just that good. So it just works. It just works. And like I remember like last year when the End Game came out
yeah,
back home, we had people lined up for like hours and from blocks. And this one Cineplex had like 24 hours running, and all the screening was full. So it's because everybody loves this character.
yeah.
These are
Everybody
like timeless
loves the character,
creations.
but see, I think that's and then that goes back to they think certain characters will appeal more than other characters. Now, is that the of course, that would be the challenge for, say, a story that you may be writing or coming
Mhm,
up with from a Bangladesh perspective.
mhm.
That okay, well, people that aren't just like they probably thought about Black Panther. They,
Yeah,
even though it was a Marvel character, they
yeah.
were sure that, or I'm pretty sure they had their reservations. Well, is everybody gonna really like an all black cast with an all black, really get into it? And I don't think it was just like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Is
Yeah.
everybody gonna really get along with a black Spider-Man? That type of thing. I think they use that as some type of filter for
Mhm.
not giving films and directors and, like I said,
And
stories a chance to even see.
I actually got to work on Black Panther a little bit. I worked on till the first trailer
Yeah.
delivery. It was one of the most amazing experience that I had. I kid you not, they gave us a production binder for visual effects team.
Uh-huh.
Dawn, it was so well done. Like it had everything, like what kind of woman would wear
Yeah.
for the like earrings, and where that earring came from. Like these two tribes, they would give you the reason why this design looks like this. they had designs for bathroom. We didn't see the bathroom of Wakanda. They had a design for the bathroom. Sleepers. We didn't see any sleepers, but they had the design. It was a very well thought of production. And like I knew Black Panther again when I was 4. This is a guy with the Black Panther power. What not to like? Oh my god! It's just so. Of course, the movie made $1 billion, and
Oh man, yeah.
may the king
Rest in peace. I'm looking forward to the second version.
The
I hear
second
it's
one,
supposed to be really good. It'll be interesting to see where they take it without,
I mean, it worked because you see a black protagonist being in power.
yeah.
You don't see that. You don't
Yeah.
see that.
And I think that's
why
what
wouldn't you see
fears.
that?
And I think that's another part of their psyche as far as, wow, we got this black lead, black protagonist, just every aspect that is not typically what people are used to seeing. They don't think people
Thankfully, that thing has changing, and it's people like like the whole like movies like Get Out.
Yeah. He's changed. He's changed the horror genre where it comes to blacks and being in suspense horror. It's just that's why I say people. Typically it's not something that people think.
And somebody like Tyler Perry.
Yeah,
he changed the whole scene in Atlanta, right?
Yeah,
Atlanta is now the hub for filmmaking.
Yeah, that's Hollywood, like Southern Hollywood.
What has happened is that nowadays, especially the black celebrities, the athlete, like LeBron James has his own production. Everybody's coming together, and they realize that because they have the money, they're the most popular people, and so they can tell the stories of a black person, and they have to. So that's what, like, if you look at a show like Blackish, such a good show.
Yeah.
Such a good show. You don't have to be black to enjoy the show. It's a very funny
very
show.
timely and funny.
It's a funny show. So why wouldn't you make more like that? Right? It doesn't. So again, things. I believe in the positive. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. So I think the perceptions are changing. I think the world is changing, and we are quickly realizing that we're all we got.
Yeah.
We kind of have to stick together. So more and more stories like this will come out. More and more, people of color, people of different, from different background, different perspective will come and tell their stories, and hopefully.
And I think it's partly it's like I said, there's a new generation of people, content creators coming up, the old school type of person, executive, direct. They're starting to move out, and like I said, they're seeing the people have made this voice known. Hey, we want different content. We want different stories, and that's what we want to see. And I think it's the smart studios.
Yep.
And I keep going back because they really are doing a fantastic job. Netflix, with putting out content that people want to see from different perspectives.
Exactly. Like, because of Netflix, I could enjoy a German sci-fi Dark. Like, I wouldn't have.
Oh man, did I love Dark? Did you? That was
so good. It was mind-blowingly
for
good.
anybody that doesn't know. If you have Netflix, go watch that series, Dark. I have to say, somebody at work, and actually he was Latino, and he was talking about it at work, and he was saying, "Oh man, you should watch Dark. It's just super good." And I watched like the first episode, and it was kind of in German, it was subtitled in German and stuff. I was like, oh man, I don't know, I could get into it. Then I stopped and then went back to it maybe like a week or two later and just watched the first part. I was like, man, this is really cool.
Very cool.
This is a really good series.
Yep. So that's the beauty of Netflix. You can watch Netflix in anywhere in the world. And they're drawing contents, and Amazon is really trying. And I think Disney, like Disney Plus, will go there, because Disney, if you look at Disney, because they have the legacy. 100 years of legacy of
Yeah.
content. Like when Disney Plus came out, I didn't even like hesitate. I was like, yearly subscription done. But I just have to get it, and
Oh
and and
man.
hopefully they will get more and more content. Like even in Disney Plus, there's like uh, Indian cartoons, and
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
royal detective, which is like a detective based in India, and she's like
Yeah.
really fun. So all these things are happening, and you need to have that,
Yeah.
right? You can't really, like, I don't mind watching a purely white cast story if it's a good story.
Yeah.
But if it's the same old thing over and over again, you get a bit bored. You're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's not about how people look, or how it's about the story. At the end of the day, the characters are good. If the story is good, you'll watch it. You'll
yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's such a powerful thing when a child or a kid can see a character that looks like I said, I grew up on Disney, I grew up on Warner Brothers and all that stuff.
Yep.
I love them, but
Yep.
I know how much better it would have been had I
Yeah.
seen black
Yeah.
characters that were really good, not stereotyped or anything like that. It's a
Yeah.
powerful image to see that from a
Yeah,
from
I
a
mean,
person of
I
color.
remember watching cartoons and reading comics. I could connect to Black Panther because he was dark skinned and I was dark skinned. It's like, okay, well, there's some bonding in there, and holding on to it. And then I used to tell myself that, because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Like Spider Man
Yeah,
is my
yeah,
number one. So I was like, maybe Doctor Otto Octavius can be like a brown dude, because brown dudes are known for they're good with science, and Octavius, that sounds like a really funny name. And I was like, okay, maybe I can be a Doc Ock. And then they make Doc Ock a chick in Spider Verse, and she was so cool. I was like, oh man, I. But then they bring in an Asian sidekick to the new Spider Man movie, and I'm like, all right, we're there. The representation is there. I'm happy.
they're trying, and like I said,
Yeah.
I have no, I think there's a place for it, and there's so many, like I said, original, and this is kind of talking like from a comic book perspective. You don't necessarily have to go out of your way to change Superman to being black. There were black characters, superhero characters from created. Go out and find the creators that are creating them and
Yep.
make something. I mean, there's so many great characters. Like I said, we're starting to see this now, and I'm trying to get him on as a guest. Reginald Hudlin.
Mhm.
If you're watching this or catching this, Reginald, I definitely want to get you on the show. But he's kind of reintroduced Milestone, that had
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
Static and all the
yeah.
other characters that Milestone created. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so much
And then
great
they
content.
just signed, I think, animated movie deal,
Yeah,
and a live
yeah,
action movie deal. I'm
he
like,
would
oh,
posted online that they're
yeah,
getting ready to do a movie of that, and it's like
yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. And then when you couple that with people like you were talking about, Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, LeBron James, that have the funding and the kind of clout to
yep,
get these projects out there.
yep,
I'm super excited when you're seeing, like I said, people like LeBron that are opening their own production studios because they see the power of all the content out there, and that nobody else, like the mainstream, is really gonna kind of push it,
yep,
unless they feel like it's gonna have some mass appeal, like
yeah.
the mainstream. But that's what I see. Like I said, coming out, like I said, of Bangladesh. Like I said, I know there's great content there. Now
Mhm.
it's just got the opportunity to really shine like
Yep.
it should be.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, a good content, like say for example, any movie Will Smith in, you don't know if he's black or white.
Yeah,
He's a
you're just
fantastic
engrossed
actor.
in the
You,
yeah.
you just watch his, like, with awe. Like, I am legend. He is legend. Like, he is that. He is that guy. I mean, it's good. It's now people are realizing that.
Yeah.
I think what has happened is that people are realizing that, oh, you can actually make money. you can make money. Yes, you can. So please support
Yes.
BIPOC creators because you can make money. I have a Thanos gloves here in my like I have a shelf with the Spider-Man head
Yeah.
and a Grogu doll and a full assembly of Avengers on my shelf. So we are buying stuff. We will
Yeah.
buy
Yeah.
if you create that characters and if you give that platform, right?
Oh
I
man.
mean, oh, it's now or never, right?
Yeah.
It is now. It
Yeah.
is
Well,
now.
I don't think it's going back to, like I said,
Exactly.
we're at a point now where we're not going back to the old ways of how things were done, how you're putting out,
You
stereotypical.
can't. You
I
can't.
mean, it's just moving forward, whether it be from movies to toys. Now they're getting more ethnically accurate toys as
Yeah.
opposed to,
Yeah.
like I said, my big thing was like I love Peanuts. And I was a
Uh-huh.
big Peanuts Charles Schultz fan.
Yeah.
And I love Franklin, but he looked like Charlie Brown. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that was the thing. But now, like I said, we're getting these characters that we can see
Yeah.
represent us in the most accurate way as possible. So that's what I'm loving, all the diverse content that is coming out there.
Hmm. For sure. For
We're
sure.
going to throw some more comments up here. Miss Elizabeth, I remember feeling so powerful when seeing the live action Wonder Woman movie. It makes
Oh man.
it does. It really does make a
It
huge
does, and it
difference.
was so good.
It
It was
really
so
does.
good. It
Yeah.
was so good. Oh my
I like the
god.
second one too. It
It
was a
was
good
really
one
good.
too.
I'm excited about. They just announced a third one.
Yeah.
DC had a whole fandom. Like everything was.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Black Adams, man. Rock.
Oh man, yeah, I saw the
Oh man,
trailer for that.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to admit, I was a fan of Rock when I was like 8 years old, and I saw his first match in WWE. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and he looked kind of like my cousin.
Yeah.
He kind of looked my cousin, and I'm like, this is my guy.
Yeah.
And I was like one of the very first fans that I'm pretty sure he had from Bangladesh area, and this is like 20, 25 years ago. So it's so good to see
Yeah.
him do
Yeah.
so many things, and
Yeah.
like it's if he has a show where he just recites English alphabet, I would buy ticket to go watch it because it's Dwayne the Rock
Oh
Johnson.
man,
Like he cannot do anything wrong.
And
So,
see, he's another one. Like I said, another one that, like I said, has the clout to really put some of these good stories out there that are promoting black characters and diverse characters out there because he's got that pull now from doing it. Mr. Saeed, yes, he does. Wahid Reza, love
the
from
people back home, they're
Bangladesh.
very passionate. They're very. I'm very fortunate. 90% of them are super kind. 10% are really mad. So again, you can't please them all. It's like, all right, okay.
It's the same here. About 90% of I'm a half glass full person myself, but like I said, there is a small percentage that there's always going to be that little bad apple. But
I mean,
most people are good. Most people, I
most
like
people
that.
are good.
I
Most people, Otherwise, we would have been extinct by now.
yeah.
I think otherwise we would have been
or still
like
back
gone.
or still back in chains. One of the two. One of the two there. Optimus Prime. Love from Bangladesh. Man, I hope, like I said, I feel so like international, man.
There you go.
Bangladesh connection. I appreciate that. Why he gave me my Bangladesh connection.
Nice.
For sure. What's been the best piece of advice that you've been given? And it could be personally or professionally, but what's been kind of the best piece of advice that you?
It only has to work once. That's what Gendy Tartakovsky he told me. So I'm a huge Gendy Tartakovsky fan.
Yeah.
I grew up watching Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack, and I took the job at Sony so that I could meet him. And it's not a joke. Like that's why I took the job. So that's how my producer introduced me to her. It was really funny. Like my producer Carrie, she was like, she visited Vancouver and she asked everybody why you joined this show, and I'm like, well, because I wanted to meet Gendy. So then she went back to LA and we're doing this live session and I'm taking notes. And at the end of the session, Carrie was like, oh, Gendy, I wanted to introduce you to somebody. Is Wahid is one of our APMs. He took this job because of you. And Kendi was like, wait, what? I'm like, well, I grew up watching your cartoons. Yeah, like meeting you, like meeting like Hanna-Barbera or like
Yeah.
Walt Disney for me. Like, so thanks for making our childhood a wonderful one. So he was super kind and he actually autographed a poster. There you go. A
Oh
poster
wow.
of, yeah. So that I
Cool.
have that on my, so he and I actually during our like wrap up party, we had I went to LA and it was a party on the boat, so I got to meet him and I told him I'm a huge fan and I'm like I'm really trying to create my own stuff, and he's like it only has to work once, so keep at it, don't give up. And I'm like, yeah, it only has to work once, so you'll get 1,000 rejection, you'll feel defeated. I feel defeated every day, and then
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning and I just start again. And I think it was a very very useful useful advice.
Another bomb there, people. It only has to work once. It only
Yeah,
has to work once. Uh, man, we are coming up on an hour, and we could go for a while. Wahid, I know, because like I said, we just got that kind of personality, and you're just so fun for sure.
thank you.
And like, I'm going to be respectful of my guests and respectful of my viewers as well. But this is does give a great opportunity to bring you back on the show for sure. I'm so looking forward to it. But just one final question
Mhm.
um, is what would you kind of hope to inspire? Because obviously, from a lot of the comments, you got a lot of love from Bangladesh. What do you hope to bring to this side of the country? You know.
I think what I hope to bring is a unique perception, a very unique perception, and I hope to bring heart. And what I want to do is I want to tell people that you can achieve your goals, and it depends it, it's irrelevant what your field is. But the process should be that, okay, that's the end goal, that's where I want to go, and where you're at now, and then you find logical steps to go from that goal to that end destination, end dream. And if you work really hard, there's a 90 to 95% chance that you will get to that point. So if you are into space, if you want to go to Mars, all right, where you're at now, you have to get really good at math and you have to
Yeah.
be really good physically fit, and then you logically step it out. You want to tell story if you want to write film, you want to write animation in this part of the world, okay, where you're at now, develop your skill set, be logical about, don't be all dreamy and gooey. Like we can get lost in the dream
Yeah.
and not be realistic about it. And don't don't think for a second that anything will be handed to you, because nothing gets handed in
Yeah.
this industry. Nothing. Not even the A-listers gets things
Yeah.
handed to them. That's how it works. You have to really work hard,
Yeah.
and it pays off. Fortune's favor the brave. Take chances, have backup plan. Listen to my father. Have backup plans. But like my
It's
production gig is in my backup plan. Like I'm doing production. I say, all right, cool.
yeah,
I
have a
can do
backup
this.
plan, but
Yeah,
go for your dreams and
go for
don't
your
be
dream. Take
afraid of it.
logical steps. Take logical steps. That's what I try to tell people. And do not be afraid that your stories will not be heard. No, there are people who will listen to your story.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And now, like we said earlier in the show, there's no excuse. I mean, you can put your stuff on YouTube. There's too many channels, too
Yep.
many great software out there for you
Yep.
not to put your creations out there. So
Yep.
take the step out and do it. Wahid, like I said, what I have to say, I appreciate you so much for connecting, and one, I appreciate this friendship that we built because, like I said, you have such a great sense of humor. I love a
Thank you,
person
John.
that has a great sense of humor, so I know we're gonna be friends for a long time.
Yeah, next time I'm in Texas, I'm in
Yes,
Houston.
we're
I'm
gonna
gonna,
go
I'm
out
gonna
for
we're,
some
we're gonna
barbecue.
go out from some barbecue. Yes,
For sure.
that's a deal.
And next time,
You're
well,
in
I won't say
Vancouver.
next time, but if ever I'm in Vancouver and get that
Yes,
way, We definitely gotta hang out.
We'll get
for
you
sure.
butter chicken pizza.
Okay,
There's a thing
that'll-
here called
that'll
butter
work.
chicken pizza. Thank you so much, Don. You have a lovely weekend,
Wahid,
and
if
thank
you
everybody
could,
for watching.
if you could hang out in the green room for just a
Yep.
few minutes while I close out the show, definitely
Sounds
get a chance to talk to you. But everybody, obviously, I hope you had as much fun watching this episode as I have had doing it for sure. Please help me thank my friend and guest, Mr. Wahid Reza, for being on the show. Thank you so much, Wahid.
Thank you.
Guys, man, this has been a great show. We had some great interaction. I love it. Gonna throw up a few more before we go. Mr. Facebook user. I'm not on Facebook, so I cannot see. Let me take a look. I don't like saying that for sure. Facebook user. And I definitely got to start adding the link to the event where you can connect and give Ecamm or permission so that I can see your name as opposed to it showing up just Facebook user. But thank you for tuning in from Brooklyn, New York. Another New York connection. I appreciate that. Mr. Slade, we got to work on getting you on, brother, for sure. I appreciate you tuning in for sure. Miss Elizabeth, of course, we threw your contact up there, but so glad that you had Saturday off and could tune in for this time. So I appreciate that, Elizabeth. Like I said, we've had some great interaction. This is what I love. Interaction from the show. That's why I gotta have Wahid back. Obviously, he gets a lot of interaction from the show, so I appreciate him being on the show for sure. Like I said, this has been a blast doing. I cannot thank my guest enough for being on the show and making this such a fun episode. I love it. Like I said, I usually try and keep these like 45 minutes to an hour, but they've just gone out the window the last, I don't know, month or so. with all the great guests that we've had, it's just gone out the window for sure. Please, again, make sure that you connect with the Facebook group for sure. Let me make sure I throw that up there. Make sure you connect in the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/The Color of Motion. Be a part of the community. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm not going to forget it for sure. But make sure, and all of this stuff will be in the show notes as well, for sure. But you can definitely connect with Wahid. Check out his YouTube channel, WIR Films. He's also on Facebook, Twitter. Also, make sure you do go to his YouTube channel. Check out the Surviving 71 short. It's really cool. Love it. So looking forward to it getting fleshed out even further. But go there, support him. Again, all this stuff will be on the show notes for the episode for sure. So didn't want to leave out without that. Definitely. But again, make sure that you join the Facebook group community, be a part of our community, because we want you to be a part of it, for sure. Again, make sure that you tune in a couple of weeks. Like I said, we're going to have a blast with our 1-year anniversary special. Like I said before, we got a very special guest lined up for the show. May have some surprise people tune in, or come into the studio and say hello. You never know. Also, you know, I'm going to be doing some little good giveaways, so that's going to be fun as well. Make sure that you tune in next week because it's going to be another great episode for sure. Super, super excited to be looking forward to having my friend Mr. Paris Lockhart on, Senior Program Manager with Microsoft Games. So it's going to be another great episode that I'm looking forward to. I so appreciate everybody that tunes into the show. Appreciate my guests for making it a great show. Appreciate you, the viewers, for making it a great show. And like I said, I can't ask for anything better than that, you know? So I look forward to seeing you next week. We're going to close this great episode out, but make sure that you tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a great weekend and a great week, and I will see you next week. Cheers, everyone.